Hello, welcome to Board with Paint. Today I'll be showing you how to paint the Drowner from The Witcher Old World. As you can see, I've already started with some Tyrion Navy as a base coat over all of the skin. Next, we'll give the base a coat of German Camo Black-Brown. For the fins on the head and back, I'm using Mephiston Red from Citadel. I'm just painting the inner webbing of these fins. I'm leaving the Tyrion Navy on the little spiky bits that are sticking out. Next, I'm filling in the eyes with bold titanium white from Pro-Acryl. Now getting into some of the detail work, we'll start off using Screaming Skull to paint all of the bits of bone and skulls that are on the base. For some of the seashells on the base, I'm using Pastel Yellow from AK Interactive. Feel free to be as creative as you want on the seashell colors. For the couple pieces of driftwood, I'm using Mournfang Brown. For some of the other shells, I'm using Silver Gray, and I'm also using this as a base coat on both of the fish that are on the base. For all these details on the base, I am using more than one coat in most cases because the coverage is not that great over the dark base color. Now I'm putting a small line of Pastel Pink across a couple of the seashells just to give it a little bit of variety. For the larger fish, I'm painting the top and back with Sybarite Green. For the other fish, I'm giving some details using Incubi Darkness. For the parts that look like they could be oyster shells, I'm using German Gray. Now I'll move back to the Drowner itself and start highlighting the skin. I'm mixing some dark sea blue with some Hellbound Flesh to create a highlight color. And then we'll highlight this just as we do in many of the other videos, covering the areas that are facing up. We'll also pick out some of the details on the muscles here, but we want to stay out of the recesses as much as we can. This knee that's sticking out and is bent is going to receive a lot of light, so we'll pay a lot of attention to this when we're doing our highlighting. And I'm just continuing to move around the miniature, adding some highlights on all of the areas that are kind of sticking out. Now we'll lighten this even further with the addition of some more Hellbound Flesh and apply the highlights again, this time covering slightly less area than last time. We want to keep these highlights within the highlights of the previous step. And here we'll lighten it even further. Next, we'll highlight the inner parts of those fins with Evil Sunz Scarlet. Now we'll reinforce the shadows by mixing a couple of washes together. This is about a 50-50 mix of Biel-Tan Green and Drakenhof Nightshade. I want this to be pretty thin. You can see that's a little too thick, so I'm adding some water. I'm testing it out on my skin just to make sure it's the consistency I want. That's more like it. I want partial transparency there. And this is going to go into all of the areas of recess and the lower portions of the skin that are facing down. Next, I'm going to cover the entire base with a coat of Citadel's Nuln Oil wash. Now I'm getting the Screaming Skull back out and just going in and picking out the teeth on the Drowner. Then I'm tracing around the outline of the mouth to give the impression of some lips with German gray. To give the lips a little bit of highlight, I'm mixing in some Hellbound Flesh. Next, I'm going to do a dry brush over the entire base with Morghast Bone. You'll want to be careful here not to get any of the dry brushing on the Drowner's skin. It probably would have been a good idea to do this earlier before we did the highlights on the skin. Next, I'm filling in the little pool that's in the middle of the base with dark sea blue. I'm imagining this is a little hole filled with water that the drowners are coming out of. To darken the base even further, I'm doing another coat of Nuln Oil over everything. Next, I'm going to shade the teeth using Agrax Earthshade. And as always, I'll paint the rim of the base with Abaddon Black. This is the final painting step. Usually what I do after this is apply some matte varnish. But once the varnish is dry, we're going to go back and do some more details. I want to make the Drowner look like he's wet, and I also want to make this look like water in the middle. So I'm covering the middle portion of the base with some gloss varnish. And then I'm brushing some of the excess gloss varnish off and just applying this to the Drowner almost like a highlight. I want to make portions of the skin look wet, but only the parts that are facing up and that have a highlight on them. This will make them look a little more fishy. And there we have the completed Drowner. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like it. If you're looking for some more content from me, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks again so much for watching, and until next time, happy painting.